Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. This is Tinker Tom, and today we are tinkering with some more AI tools. Specifically, today we'll be looking at NotebookLM, a relatively new product on my radar, but I hear it's been around for a little bit. But what has caught my attention are its amazing capabilities to be helpful as a researcher and personal assistant. But the biggest one for me, especially being a researcher, is its ability to cite and use proper sources to create its outputs. So less hallucinations and more closed loop thinking. So you provide the information and it can work with you on that information that's been given. So similar to ChatGPT, similar to Claude or Gemini, you can ask it questions about certain source material. You can even provide the source material. But what makes Notebook LM a little different is it does work like a closed circuit. So it'll only provide answers and outputs based on the sources that you provided. So as we look at the home page, I'm logged in under my username. And what Notebook LM has on its landing page are all of the notebooks that I have. And you could think of a notebook sort of as a project folder or a binder, but essentially I am creating separate projects where I can provide the sources of information for the AI model to use. So if we look at my notebooks, I have one on lead certificate. It has two sources in it. I have a new ongoing video prompting, haven't gotten started there, but my Olympic dissertation notebook has 11 sources. So, to explain a little bit about what Notebook LM does and what it's capable of, let's just go ahead and create a new notebook. So I'm going to click on this tab. And the first thing it asks me, it says, create audio and video overviews from websites, from videos. And essentially it's asking what sources of information do you want to provide this notebook so we can get started. And so what I'll do is I have some PDFs ready, but it can take video files, it can take copy and pasted notes. You can paste in websites for it to grab information from. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm just going to import these three PDFs. They are all about the Olympics, and it's the three host countries of the last three Olympics, Summer Olympics, and they put together a post-game highlights, and sort of a post-mortem on hosting the games. And so I'm going to provide those as our primary resources for the notebook to work from. And so while we wait for those to load in, I'll just give you a quick rundown of these panels here. So we have three panels and all the notebooks will look the same. On the left side, you have the sources you want the AI tool to draw from. In the middle, you have your typical back and forth chatbot settings where you can ask questions, you can receive feedback, it can summarize the information. And then on the right side is where the magic happens. This is called the studio. And essentially, it has several tools that you can use within the notebook to help you synthesize or generate more content based on the resources you provide. And we'll spend the next video of this YouTube series talking more about the applications, the tools, the bells and whistles, as well as the underlying technology that makes this product what it is. Okay, so while we wait for that third PDF to load, it's already synthesized and summarized the first two. So first two articles was Rio from 2016, post-game highlights, and then France 2024. And Notebook LM just went ahead based on the three sources I gave, provided a little summary. And just like we're used to, you can ask follow-up questions and you can ask specific questions about you know, whatever you want, and it'll draw from the sources I've provided. So we could say, what was France's biggest takeaway from the games, for example? And like we're used to seeing, it's going to provide an answer, but rather than pull from the web, pull from multiple sources, and possibly hallucinate, this is going to use the sources I provided and even provide the where within those sources. So it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we can click on these and it'll provide the location of the source where it's pulling from. So rather than grasping for straws and hallucinating information, it's very intentional about the information it uses and how it reasons through it. So we're going to go ahead and change the title. It did that on its own. We'll call it Post Games Olympics. So just so I know what this notebook is. And then the last piece I just wanted to walk through is the studio panel on the right side. So based on the sources I gave it, you can ask for an audio overview, a video overview, mind map. You can ask for reports, build flashcards, create an infograph, make a slide deck, provide a quiz. And so while I'm a researcher and I use it to synthesize and make sense of a wide range of data, if you were a teacher, for example, you could be making flashcards and quizzes out of the source material you want it to draw from. And so I can see this tool being extremely useful, especially those in the educational space. But we're going to spend more time in the next few videos talking about the studio output and some of those capabilities. Last piece I'll mention is the pricing of NotebookLM. So for a free user like myself at the moment, um, each notebook can hold up to 50 sources. So if you're working on a reasonable size project, 50 sources is more than enough to start working through a lot of information or start understanding a topic. Now, if you're working on a dissertation like myself, 50 sources may not be expansive enough for you to take into account all the information you're working with, in which case there are paid versions which allow more sources to be housed within those notebooks. So again, one of the best features that I believe NotebookLM offers is that ability to work in a closed system with the material that you're working from as well. So there's a lot of alignment when you're having discussions and back and forths with the tool, which I find encouraging because of the hallucination and sort of um, the unpredictability of tools that are just grabbing information from the web, and not grounding it in source material. I hope you've enjoyed this introduction to NotebookLM. I'm really excited to dive into some of the capabilities and how we can be using it as researchers, just people who are living their lives, or educators, like I said. And stay tuned for more. Thank you and have a great day.